When I was a kid, I was really obsessed with cartoons, and I've always dreamed of creating my very own show. The problem was, I was really bad at drawing, so for a long time I thought it was just impossible to do this. But with the tools we have right now, anyone can finally build their own cartoons. And in this video I'm gonna show you step by step how to lock in your characters and bring your own show to life. To be able to make actual cartoons like the ones that I just show you, you need to have a system. And in this video, I will break down my system of how I make these AI cartoons. So by the end of it, you know exactly how to get started, which style to use, and how to turn your characters into fully fledged AI cartoon movies. I'll be breaking down in 5 simple steps. We have the style, the characters, the location, the voices, and then we have the animation. Now for this video, we'll be using OpenArt. If you want to follow along with me, I would recommend clicking the link in the description down below and there signing up so you can get started. Now the first step to creating your own AI cartoons is picking a style that you want your cartoon to be in. Because there's so many different styles out there that it's hard to choose which one you actually want to follow. For example, if I think of cartoons, then Rick and Morty, South Park, and even SpongeBob come to my mind. But what is the actual style that you want to use? Now to get a clear overview of all of the different styles, I've made this website. Here I have laid out over 30 different styles that you can choose from, and you can just scroll through them to be inspired to choose your own. I've laid out exactly how to make these character sheets with the correct prompts that you want to be using. So you can just scroll through this and you can choose your own style, you can copy my prompt, and it makes the whole process go a lot simpler. So after you've scrolled through this website and you've come across a style that you'd like, it's time to create your character sheet. And for me, I personally like the style 11, the Simpsons style. I'm just gonna keep it simple and we're gonna do this. And since I've already created these character sheets of myself, I'm gonna give you a live demo with a different character so you understand how to make them. Okay, so first we're gonna need 3 things. The first one we need is an image of our character. Now this is my character. This is a mob boss and I want to turn him into a Simpson cartoon final boss type of guy. Then the second thing we're gonna need is this 3-panel template. I will leave this also in the school community where you can find all of the free assets, and then we're gonna instruct it to fill out this template so we have it exactly divided in 3 different parts so it's all consistent like you see right here. Then the next thing we're gonna need is the prompt. And the prompt we can simply copy from this website. We can copy the panel prompt right here. We're gonna go into OpenArt and here you wanna go over to images and now you can add in your references. So I'm gonna do exactly that. I'm gonna first lay out the mob boss. Then second, I'm gonna import the blank 3-panel template. And then next up, I'm gonna start importing my prompt, which I just copied. And now you just gotta make sure that everything is matching in terms of the image 1 and the image 2. I'm gonna do this in 16:9 4K on GPT image 2. For me, that worked best, but you can also try it out using different models. Then you can start generating this. So that gave me this result. And you might be wondering, like, where the hell is his head right there? I'm using a more detailed zoomed in picture of his upper body instead of using his head right there, so that seedance has more details of what his face looks like. Like this to me works better than having his head on there. So now you got your first character reference. You can do this for all of your characters. So here's another quick demo. I've got this character. I want to turn her into style 29, which is the Yu-Gi-Oh style. So I'm going to copy that prompt, put it in OpenArt, and then that gives me this character sheet. Now that you got your characters ready, you can start creating your first scene. So for this example, I'm gonna go back to making a video of me and Vinny. Vinny is this alien type of dude. This is how I made them. So I've got this style of me and I've literally made that by using 3 side images of me of what I look like. So the AI understands what my hairstyle is, what my face looks like. And then for Vinny, I was inspired by this image that I made earlier and I recycled that into making this type of cartoon style Vinny. So these are the 2 characters that I want to use for my story. But now what we need to do is we need to put them into one scene or into one image. So first we're gonna drop in the image of me, then we're gonna drop in the image of Vinny, and now we can start prompting. So I've got a prompt right here which I want to share with you. So it might look complicated at first, but it's actually really easy. First we're gonna say what the output is. So we want to make a 60:9 frame for an animated episode. Then I'm gonna explain what my references are. So image image 1 is my character sheet and image 2 is Vinny's character sheet. So now the AI understands like what we're referring to, then only use them for character design, not their layout, poses, panels or background. This is basically a disclaimer that it can just use them for their likeness. Then we're gonna describe the scene, the camera, the style, and we're gonna say some instructions like what to keep and what to avoid. So for the scene, I'm describing a late night home kitchen. As you see, it's just me sitting behind my laptop on the kitchen table and Vinny is just standing behind me. Then we have the camera, and most cartoons are pretty like static shots. So here I'm just gonna say a stable, medium wide eye level shot, but you can vary this depending on what you want. And for the style, I'm gonna go with Family Guy style. Then the things that I want to keep is their outfit. I want to have their proportions done right. And then the things that I want to avoid is multiple panels, character sheet layout, extra characters, text, logos, open mouths, that type of stuff. Because using these two references, it might think that you want to use this whole character sheet in there, while we just want to have the full body character in there. Okay, so once again, we're generating this using GPT Image 2. Once you're ready, you can just hit generate. Now this is the result that we got. We can now use this as a start frame or as a reference for our video. So I'm gonna download this. Now we can go over to seedance 2, seedance 2.5 or even hailuo v3, whichever model you prefer. Also take credits in considerations, like cartoons are not that complicated. Using seedance 2 is fine. You can also put it into seedance 2.5 if you wanna spend a little bit more credits, but you might get better results. So you wanna click video, and here you have the option to choose start and end frame or text with a reference. You could also generate this using text with reference and you can upload all of your references in there. But in this case, I would like to show you the start frame first and I'll show you the rest later. So I'm gonna do start and end frame. I'm gonna make this in seedance 2.0 as it's not too complicated. And then I'm gonna import that start frame that I just made, which is this image. I'm gonna use that. Now you can start writing your prompt. So let me explain to you how I prompt this. It's for me a 13-second scene and I'm just describing like what's happening in the first 13 seconds by describing a kind of like timeline prompt of what I want to have happen during each moment. Then I'm gonna add in this voice prompt, which kind of like locks in the voice, but I will give you more details on that later. Then I'm using control. I'm saying like keep the exact lines, no paraphrasing, no overlap, no pauses. Then I will say lock the first frame characters and all of these other things, and then avoid zooms, cuts, and all of those things. Pretty simple. It's basically just describing during this section what you want to have happen. So now what I will do is I'm gonna do it in 1080p as it's a cartoon, and then you gotta match it with how long your video actually is. So for me it's 13 seconds, and then you can hit generate.
Dan, it's time to pay back the money you owe me.
I invested it in AI.
All of it?
Shut up, Vinny. I know what I'm doing. Okay, sorry, I'll cancel everything.
So we've just created our first scene. That was actually the easy part. The a little bit more complicated part is getting the audio right in every single file. Because you see, every time you generate a different shot or even regenerate the same shot, you might get a slightly different voice. And there are a few ways to fix that. So now let me show you two different methods of how you can fix the audio to get it consistent in every single shot. The first method is the one I already briefly touched upon. It is using a voice prompt. That is a small segment that you include into your prompt where you describe what your voice sounds like. You want to keep that consistent and you want to add that to every generation that you do so that seedance or hailuo or whatever AI you use understands what it sounds like. Now this is what my voice prompt looks like for a character like Vinny. So it is a high-pitched cartoon alien voice, energetic, raspy cartoon tone, fast-paced cadence, blah blah blah. A lot of different details. You can literally upload an audio file to Claude or ChatGPT and ask it to describe your voice in a voice prompt. And then you get something like this. Now let me give you an example of what that sounds like. So here we have two videos using that method.
Why did the human cross the road? A vibe coder deleted the crosswalk and called it an update. Oh, tough crowd. Must be human. What do humans call an unfinished product with no customers? A startup!
This dude is actually funny.
So even though it's two separate generations, both voices sound very similar. Now, if you want to get the most accurate voice, then the next method might be the one for you. And this one requires you to upload an audio clip or audio reference to your character. This could be if, for example, I am the character, could be me recording into the mic and using it as a reference. Or you can use something like 11 Labs or Fish Audio to generate an audio and then use that as a reference, and that way you keep the voice consistent. Let me show you how we can do that. So for this character, the mad scientist, I want to give him a consistent voice. Now, I will go over to Lava Labs, and here I found Dr. Von, a quirky mad scientist. Then what you do is you can give it a line, then you download that voiceover, and now this is the voice that we're gonna use as a reference. If you have a new line frame, you just type a new line, then you generate that voice, and then you repeat the process. This is what keeps the voice consistent. Now, to add those audio references into OpenArt, you don't want to just straight up upload them like this, because audio references sometimes will be confusing to seedance. Instead, you want to use them as a video reference. Now, how do you make a video reference? Go over to Claude, you want to drop in your audio file, and then you can ask Claude to turn your MP3 into an MP4. So you're going to say, turn this video into an MP4 file with a black background. And now you hit enter and it will create the file for you. And now you're gonna have your file. So we just have the audio file attached to this. Then you wanna go back to OpenArt. Now you're gonna upload the file that Claude just made for you. So I'm just gonna add in this MP3 audio file. And now we can attach that as the form of video 1. So it refers to video 1 when it needs that audio file. And as the background is black, it doesn't pick up anything in terms of like what that scene looks like. It just uses this reference. So then you're gonna hit generate and then you get something like this.
Greetings, fellow researchers. Voice File 1 begins Phase 1, where seedance 2.0 generates our initial video to establish the baseline voice sample for our experiment.
And now you can just repeat that process for the next video and the next video after that. So I've done that. Here's the example.
Now for Voice File 2. Here in Phase 2, we generate a completely new clip using the exact same prompt settings to test whether the voice stays consistent. And finally, Voice File 3. If everything went according to plan, then this final generation should sound exactly the same as the first 2 audio files.
As you can hear, the voice sounds entirely consistent. Okay, now let's put everything into practice by creating longer scenes using all of the methods that you've just learned. So the idea here is I want to have me and Vinny interacting with some kind of like mafia boss. So the first thing we need to do is we need to create our start frame. I used the reference sheet of me, I used the reference sheet of Vinny, then I used the reference sheet of the mob boss, and then I used this previously generated scene of me just as a reference of what we look like. Then I'm gonna use this exact same method that I've shown you before with the deliverables, the reference map, the scene, the camera, the background, character things to lock in, and what to avoid. So that made us this. That is the first frame that we're gonna use. Now the next frame that I wanna use is that Vinny is beating up this guy. So basically what I did is I did the exact same thing, but this time we're editing this image slightly. So we're adding in all of these same references, including this start frame. And then I'm just gonna say that in the action state that Vinny is still very short, but he now stands securely on the desktop near the boss, immediately after one light comedic cartoon slap. So that is what's happening right here. So we've just slapped the cartoon boss. And now we have our start frame and our end frame. And now we can put these into seedance and then we can create our very first scene. We can then continue. So I've just uploaded the start frame right here, then the end frame right there. And then we're gonna say like what we want to have happen. We're doing a timeline prompt, we're doing a voice prompt, we're doing a Vinny voice prompt, and we're doing a bit of audio control. And those are the instructions that we're gonna give it. You can literally copy my exact format. I will leave all the links that I've used in the school community so you can try them out for yourself. So this is the first video that we got.
Look, I can explain.
Hold on, Dan. I'll handle this. You're getting nothing. Understood?
Okay, so that's Vinny being a badass right there. We can now generate our second scene and continue this whole interaction. There are multiple different ways how to create scene continuity, so let me show you the first method. That is using the last frame of the first video as the first frame of the next video. So here, as you see, I've used this last frame of Vinny hitting the guy in the face as the start frame again in seedance. Now I just mentioned that this is a continuity shot where I explain what I want to have happen next. So I'm gonna give it some details. I'm gonna explain what the dialogue is, gonna explain what happens right here. And again, we have the voice logs. We have the boss, we have Vinny. Those are the ones that are speaking. Then we're gonna generate, and then this is the follow-up result that we got.
You hit like my mother.
Good. She told me to say hi.
Gory Vinny.
Clear Dan's debt, or I'll tell your mother how much of a disappointment you are.
Okay, so that is the first method. The second method that you can use is you can use your video as a reference. So what we can actually do is I can download this video that we just created, and then we're gonna just upload this video reference. And now we can write or prompt to create a follow-up video based on that last video. Okay, so I made this prompt and it's exactly the same format. It's continuity, then we're gonna add in the timeline, then we're gonna add in the voice logs. So we have the voice logged based on the previous ones, and then we have the dialogue control, and we're basically continuing it based on this reference. Now I then hit generate, and then I got something like this.
Debt 0, interest 0, late fees, I never saw them.
That is my lucky pen.
And that is your lucky cheek. It still works.
My mother would have liked you.
She does.
In my opinion, this method is not the best one because as you can see, the pen right here is really big and then later in the hand, it becomes pretty small. Those are the things that you want to be aware of when using these type of video references. You might want to give it more references because the more references it can lock in, the better it understands. So those were the two methods of continuing your scene. Now you can stitch them together. You can either do this in Premiere Pro, or you can even ask Claude to say like, hey, these are 3 videos, stitch them together, and then you have your completed sequence. That is your first mini cartoon. So by following this system, you can create your very own AI cartoons. If you have any questions about this, let me know in the comments down below. And if you want to learn more about things like AI filmmaking, how to use seedance and others, then click the videos that are on the screen right now, where I will have some more good content for you so you can better learn AI.